Hi everyone, I wanted to get on here and film a super casual Friday reads because I am so behind on these, and one of the main reasons for that is because I just haven't been reading too much recently because grad school and teaching and just life in general. But I did want to kind of give you an update and also announce something somewhat exciting. That's a read along that I'm trying to host very casually. I'm filming this on my iPhone, so if I look to the side, it's because it's hard not to watch yourself filming yourself. The camera actually is to the left for me, so I'm trying to make eye contact with that instead of looking at myself in the viewfinder. So, well, not viewfinder, camera. But I'm not going to edit this, it's just going to be completely natural. And that's kind of just how I want to do Friday reads from now on, just because it makes it a lot easier for me to keep up with it. So the first thing I'm reading, I've got my stack of books here, is in my massive old Jane Austen book. This is the copy of Jane Austen books that I actually, wow, it's like peeling. That's how old it is. I actually purchased this when I was about like 12, I think, from a library book sale. It's not a beautiful edition by any means. It's very cheap, but you can tell it's very well loved. And I've got so many bookmarks in it from when I was younger. And for example, I've got this one here of Keira Knightley from when the edition of Pride and Prejudice, or the adaptation, came out in 2005. So as you can see, it's definitely older. And then I've got this bookmark here from the 2009 adaptation of Emma, which is one of my favorites. Forgive my shaky hand, I just had too much coffee. And so yes, this edition of the Jane Austen books is just one of my prized possessions, even though it's quite ragged at this juncture. But I am reading Emma as a buddy read, and I'm reading this with the lovely Lucy. I will leave her channel link below for you. And we are on... Well, I am on chapter 13 is what I've been reading, and she is on chapter 15 and is waiting for me to catch up on her, or catch up with her. And so I am excited to be reading that. I just watched the 2020 adaptation, and I am watching the 2009 adaptation again while I'm reading this. So it's been very fun. I'll put that down because it's very heavy. The next thing I am reading right now is this. This is called She Wolves by Helen Castor. And I think my camera's falling. Oh no. Okay. See if that worked. But this is a book that is called The Women Who Ruled England Before Elizabeth. Or not called, but that's like the tagline. And I started this and was so excited to read this. And I thought it sounded so interesting, and it still does. But I have to admit that I am on chapter 8 about Eleanor of Aquitaine currently. You know, this book is about all of these really fantastically interesting women, but I'm finding this to be a snooze fest for me personally. I don't know if it's the subject matter is just not for me, or the way the history is written, because this is a nonfiction book. But I am really bored. So I've been listening to the audiobook, and I was so excited to read this, but it's just, oh no. This is rather entertaining. You can see my plant I've got you propped up on. Oh dear. This is very au naturel, isn't it? I was hoping to be very casual, but I don't know. The camera falling might just be a little bit too far. We'll see how that works. My forehead's a little bit cut off, but it's better than it falling. But yes, it's just kind of been a very underwhelming experience for me, and I've just been kind of slogging through this audiobook. So I'm hoping to finish it because I think it's very educational. But there is a documentary series you can watch that's narrated by the author Helen Castor. You can see her here. And if you're interested in the subject but don't really want to slog through the book, I would kind of recommend the documentary. However, if this is a subject that interests you, you might enjoy it regardless, so don't take my word for it. It's just not really my cup of tea. So I just wanted to let you know about that. The next book I'm reading is actually on my Kindle that I got for Christmas. And I am enjoying using this to get library books. It's much better than my iPad in the sense that I'm not dealing with blue light as much because obviously I'm working from home right now. Well, not obviously, but I think I've talked about that before, and staring at the blue light all day is not great when you add it to reading. And so this has been really awesome, but I am reading Throne of Glass, which is very, very interesting so far. I'm not that... I'll just explain. I'm buddy reading it with Julia from Shakespeare and such because we were both just really intrigued why everyone is so interested in it and loves it so much. And I've never read anything by Sarah J. Maas before, but I'll tell you right now that I think it's going to be interesting, but it's definitely not something that I personally am that interested in. And I haven't been just hooked yet, but I am very early in the book, so I'll try to give it some extra time. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't normally read that much YA, so that's probably part of the problem, but that's neither here nor there. This is another book I'm currently reading. This is one I've talked about in previous videos. It's called Lara by Vera Kaspari. There's a film noir movie that was based on this book, and I also actually watched a movie based on another book by Vera Kaspari called Blue Gardenia, which I enjoyed, but Lara I think is way better. It was still interesting, but just kind of anticlimactic compared to this in my opinion. But I really, really am enjoying this. It's kind of like reading the movie. And I think the only thing I don't like as much is that some of the things that are said in it, it sort of surprises me it was written by a woman. And I don't know how to explain it. You just would have to read it to know what I'm talking about, but it's really good. So I am about halfway through and I'm hoping to finish this soon. I'm just really enjoying kind of sort of just wandering through it. I'm not really rushing myself to finish it because I know the plot. So if you hadn't read it before, I can see how the plot would really drive you to finish it. But because I've seen the movie, I know what's going to happen. So it's just one I'm kind of enjoying pacing myself reading it. Now, this is one that I got from my friend Kara from Wild Book Garden, and I love this book so much. So thank you so much for that, Kara. I am so grateful to have it, and it's so beautiful. I just love Jean Tierney, so this is awesome. And 2 more books, and then I'm going to tell you about my read-along. So this is Joy McCullough's Bloodwater Paint. I've talked about this before because, again, Kara gave this to me from Wild Book Garden, and it's by Joy McCullough. This is a book about the Baroque artist Artemisia Gentileschi, who is known as being one of the Caravagesque painters, which means that she kind of had a similar style to the Baroque artist Caravaggio. Also a fan of his work, but hers is fascinating as well. And this is a story told in verse about Artemisia Gentileschi as she was growing up and becoming a really stellar painter. This is very heartbreaking. It has some very dark subjects in it, but it's very important, and I think it's handled very well. And this is my second time reading this book, and I'm about a third of the way through it. Again, really enjoying just kind of picking this up when I feel like it. And yeah, this is just a really good one. So highly recommend if you haven't read it, and if you're a poetry fan, you should definitely give it a try. And then this is the last book that I'm reading that I haven't got associated with the read-along. Now, okay, that's a lie. I have one other book, which again, I'm trying to read less books at the same time, but which I have been pretty successful about doing, but I do need to cut down on what I'm currently reading. So I'm working on that, but I'll tell you about that other book in just a second. But I am reading Let Me Tell You What I Mean, which is Joan Didion's newest release. This came out, I believe it was the beginning of February, end of January. I honestly can't remember. That was kind of a whirlwind time for me. But I ordered the either European or UK edition because I just loved the cover because it's got Joan herself on it. And it's a very short book. And again, halfway through it, it's a book of essays, so it's very easy to just kind of pick up, put it back down. But most of these are from her early part of her career. And there was this one essay in particular that I read that I just loved. And of course, I'm loving this because I love Joan Didion, so I would recommend it even though I haven't finished it yet. And it was a chapter called On Being Unchosen by the College of One's Choice. And I honestly really wish that I had been able to read this when I was applying to grad schools, because I feel like it would have made a really big difference for me. So loving this so far. I'll definitely give you guys an update on it. And I know I had mentioned doing a read along of Joan Didion's work last year, and I would really still love to do that if any of you are interested. So definitely just let me know in the comments below, and I'm going to try to arrange that over the summer. I think that would be a really nice time to read. For some reason, Joan Didion always seems to be a summer read in particular to me. I don't really know why. Probably because I first read her books in the summer. And so maybe that's probably it, kind of the association. But yeah, love this. And then the other book I'm reading right now is an audiobook. Again, I like to listen to audiobooks while I'm working and doing schoolwork. Usually when I mean like schoolwork, it's kind of like administrative stuff. It's not like writing a paper or something. I can't listen to an audiobook and write at the same time. But I am listening to Don Quixote, which is a Miguel de Cervantes book. And it has been quite interesting. I don't really know what to say about it. I'm 10% through, which doesn't seem very impressive, but it's such a long book that's pretty good to me. I took a long break on it because I was just kind of, I don't know, I felt like it was kind of getting repetitive, and it still is kind of repetitive, and it's so ridiculous and so farcical, which I know is like the point, but it just gets to the point where it's like, okay. And the famous like windmill scene that everyone knows about from Don Quixote was like in the first 5 or 6% of the book. And so I was kind of like, okay, now what? So I am interested in finishing it. I feel like it's one of those classics everyone should read at some point in their lives because it's so influential. And I do like the musical The Man of La Mancha, so I would be interested to kind of compare the two. But yeah, it's been an interesting experience. It's kind of slow, not my favorite, but we'll see. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is my read along for this month. If you are interested in joining, it is going to be the most casual thing you have ever seen. I posted a reading schedule for it on my Twitter, so I will link that down below, and you can just download a picture of the reading schedule. You don't even have to follow the reading schedule. It's just there if you want it. But it is this book, and it is The Enchanted April by Elizabeth von Arnham. I have seen this film at least once, I think twice, and I just loved the story. And so I just knew I needed to pick this book up, and my dad had recommended it to me as well. And it's just such a wholesome, sweet, escapist story, and I think everyone needs that right now. And the whole premise of it is it's about these women who decide that they're going to rent out a villa in Italy and enjoy some time there. And that's a very basic way of explaining it, but it's kind of like this magical time where they all like come to know themselves and what they want to be and who they want to be and how they want their lives to be. So it's just really kind of sweet, but also very, like I said, wholesome story. And so I thought, you know what, that would be really fun to read during April, especially since travel is not really a thing right now. And I just am really excited for this. And there's a, as I said, fantastic movie, and I'm going to try to watch it at the end of the month when I finish reading this. So I'm reading like a chapter, or not even a chapter a day. Some of the days it's going to be a chapter for 2 days. And so it's a very easygoing read along. I will be posting comments on Twitter about the chapters and then on my Goodreads as well, which will also be linked down below. So if you're interested, just let me know. Comment down below if you have any questions, and I will just look forward to discussing this with you guys later. Thanks so much for watching this all over the place video. I hope to catch up with you all again very soon, and I hope you're all doing well and having a wonderful start to the month, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!